Welcome to the 72nd National Book Awards ceremony. Tonight's host is Phoebe Robinson, a stand-up comedian, writer, producer, and actress. She is founder of Tiny Reparations Production Company, the publisher of Tiny Reparations Books, and the best-selling author of 3 essay collections, including, most recently, Please Don't Sit on My Bed in Your Outside Clothes. Please welcome Phoebe Robinson.
Oh my gosh, thank you. It is an honor to welcome everyone to the 72nd National Book Awards. I'm coming in live from the Penguin Random House building. Woo-woo! Shout out to Verizon Fios. They have Wi-Fi that won't quit. It got me out here looking like a low-budget Zendaya and 5G. That, my friend, is true allyship. Okay, kidding aside, as you can all see, the ongoing pandemic is making this the second fully virtual NBAs. And that's just terrible. Get it? Charles Barkley? Because he played in the other NBA? The National Basketball Association? Okay, y'all are haters. I'm just saying, that impression would have got me on Saturday Night Live. Anyway, I'm excited we're all gathered here this evening on one of the biggest nights in publishing to celebrate the power of the written word and some of the brightest, most game-changing talent in the industry. And as a host/nominee, I know all about that. Oh wait, sorry. The producer's in my ear talking to me. I'm not nominated this evening for anything? Huh. You sure? You know what? There's still time for me to get nominated and be a Dark Horse winner tonight. Please don't sit on my bed in your outside clothes, which is available everywhere. Okay, check out this excerpt from my book in which I write about performative allyship. Basically, white guilt is a Kathy comic, y'all. Like, that bitch always has a sob story. Constantly caught up in the drama without realizing she's a key architect of the spectacle that is her life. Always getting fired and acting like she doesn't know why. It's like, Kath, Jamba Juice let you go because you were making smoothies to bring home to your cats. Ugh. Mean to brag, Ta-Nehisi Coates DM'd me and told me he wished he had written that. Sorry, the producers again. Okay, they are telling me that is also not true. All right, while I deal with being the Susan Lucci of the National Book Awards, minus her bank account and nominations, let's focus on the matter at hand, books. Growing up in Cleveland, Ohio, I wrote stories in my bedroom. Most of them were about my crush on my gym teacher, don't judge my journey, but all of them allowed me to find and develop my voice, helped tap into my imagination and strengthen my creativity. And as for the books I read, they were the passport that I needed to the world, my escape from the mundanity of life, and challenge the beliefs I had. And I know I'm not the only one, all right? Okay, everyone close your eyes for a second. Go on, close them. Okay, now think about the first book that changed you, all right? Now try and remember how the pages smelled. Maybe they were slightly musty as you were probably the 200th person to check that copy out from the library. Or maybe they were fresh as a daisy because it was a brand new copy you got from the bookstore. Okay, now imagine its weight in your hands. How comforting that felt. And finally, think about the excitement that coursed through you as you just could not wait until you could tell your parent, teacher, sibling, or friend about what you just read. Okay, now open your eyes. Look, awards are nice, dressing up is fun, okay? Recognition from your peers and industry players is amazing. But the high you get from reading that sentence, paragraph, or book that's going to live in your bones forever, or in the case of all of you tonight, writing that sentence, paragraph, or book is what it's all about. It's what truly matters. Man, I should know, as I'm the author of 3 books and the publisher of Tiny Reparations Books, an imprint dedicated to elevating the voices of women, people of color, and folks from the LGBTQIA+ community. Books are my safe space, my happy place, which means all you nominees are my safe space and my happy place. So, I'm thrilled to be here tonight, celebrating all the nominees and honorees. You are the heartbeat of this industry. You are the inspiration for so many bibliophiles and writers. So thank you for your talent, vulnerability, bravery, and your contribution to the literary tradition. You make us smile, laugh, think, cry, and feel. Show us how the world is and what it can be, or what it should be. As for me, next time I'm going to submit my book under Roxane Gay's name and get myself a nomination. I done learned my lesson. Okay, let's go and get the show on the road. Tonight's event is open and free to everyone, but it's also the biggest fundraiser for the National Book Foundation. They are a nonprofit organization and they need your support. If you believe in the power of books to change the world, please consider donating today. I'm gonna do it right now. Okay, $12,000, that's a little rich for my blood. Let's clock out at $150. Boom! Okay, we also have an audience room tonight full of people who love books and are champions of the National Book Foundation. Hey everybody, woo! Make some noise, show your hands. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. All your bookshelves look amazing. Your skin is flawless. Okay, everyone has good internet. All right, we're gonna check in with them over the course of the night, and we begin by honoring the Foundation's Lifetime Achievement honorees. The first of these Lifetime Achievement Awards is the Literarian Award for Outstanding Service to the American Literary Community, which is given to a person who has shown a remarkable dedication to expanding the audience for books and reading. Last year, the Foundation honored the late Simon & Schuster publisher, Carolyn Reidy. Other past winners include Dr. Maya Angelou, boom, Orrin Tyker, bam, of the American Booksellers Association, and Sesame Street's Joan Gans Cooney, ba-bam! Tonight's honoree is exceptional in her service to libraries, books, reading, and the literary community. Honoring her tonight is Ron Charles. He is a writer at the Washington Post where he reviews books, writes a weekly books newsletter, and produces a satirical video series called The Totally Hip Video Book Review. Previously, Ron was the editor of the book section at the Christian Science Monitor. His work as a reviewer has been honored by the National Book Critics Circle, the Society for Features Journalism, and the American Library Association. And check this out, he has also served as a judge for the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction, and since 2013, he has hosted Life of a Poet, an interview series co-sponsored by the Library of Congress. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Ron Charles.
Thank you. Nancy Pearl once wrote, "Each time I begin a new book, there's the very real chance that this is the book that I will fall in love with." Who isn't encouraged by the perennial possibility of such love waiting for us on the very next page? Like most people, I first heard Nancy Pearl when I heard her voice on the radio, recommending books for NPR. She was funny, she was warm, and most of all, she was enthusiastic. She immediately reminded me of my first librarian, whose voice drew my classmates and me through comedies and adventures around the world and across the galaxy. Later, I would learn that Nancy's enthusiasm for literature came from experience. After all, this was someone who titled her memoir, Girl Discovers Reading, Then Discovers Life. Growing up in Detroit, Nancy found the Parkman Branch Public Library offered a refuge from a difficult home. As she puts it, she was rescued from despair by books, libraries, and librarians. It's not too much of an exaggeration to say that reading saved my life. At a young age, she discovered that books allowed her both to find herself and to escape herself. By the time she was 10, she knew she wanted to be a librarian. A self-described readaholic, she started working at the Cellar Bookshop in Detroit even before she graduated from high school. She eventually earned a master's degree in library science from the University of Michigan, and from there, her involvement with books kept evolving. She began her career as a children's librarian in Detroit, and then moved to the Tulsa City County Library, and then to the Seattle Public Library, where she became the executive director of the Washington Center for the Book. And it was there in Seattle that Nancy had a typically audacious Nancy-sized idea. In 1998, she started a book club that embraced the whole population of the city. Her program, called If All of Seattle Read the Same Book, exemplifies the breadth of Nancy's vision and the depth of her faith in the power of literature. That program has since been replicated in every state of America and around the world. It's a program based on the increasingly essential idea that people meeting in a public place to talk about a book could learn to appreciate the book and each other. I believe she once said, "There is an opportunity for reading and discussion to help make the world a better place." What could be more necessary at a moment when our society feels intolerably fractured and libraries find themselves the latest battleground of the culture wars? At a time when too many people are alarmed that a book might disturb their certainties, Nancy writes, "I read to encounter new worlds, new ways of looking at our world. I read to enlarge my horizons, to gain wisdom, to experience beauty, to understand myself better, and for the pure wonderment of it all." In 2004, Nancy retired from her post as executive director of the Washington Center for the Book. And though she is not a person given to mockery, she has made a mockery of retirement. Following up on the success of her indispensable reading guide called Book Lust, she went on to publish More Book Lust and Book Crush for children and teens, and her first novel, George and Lizzie. She also wrote Book Lust to Go, recommended books for travelers, vagabonds, and dreamers. It's a book that demonstrates what Emily Dickinson meant when she said, "There is no frigate like a book to take us lands away." And perhaps that's been the thesis of all Nancy's work. Throughout her career, she's been an astute critic, a reader's advocate, someone who understands how thirsty people are to find books they'll love. And to hear her is to know that her vocation is inspired by good humor. It's no coincidence that she was chairman of the fiction committee the year Andrew Sean Greer won a Pulitzer Prize for his book Less, reminding us that a comic novel can be a great work of art. Nancy's voice on radio, television, and in her own best-selling books resonates so powerfully because she represents the ideal of the librarian. An activist for the unbridled pleasure of reading, she's not a guardian of the treasures. She's a farmer of the orchard. "I've never wavered," she writes, "in my belief that being a librarian is one of the best and noblest careers that anyone could have. And few people have ever pursued that profession with such infectious verve, intelligence, and delight. Reading," she says, "has always brought me pure joy, and her joy has redounded to us for decades. And so, it is my honor to introduce the recipient of the 2021 Literarian Award for Outstanding Service to the American Literary Community, Nancy Pearl."
Thank you, Ron, for that lovely introduction. I want to thank the National Book Foundation from the bottom of my heart for this award. You know, I feel as though my entire life has now been validated. And to find myself in such notable company as previous winners, such as Dave Eggers, Dr. Maya Angelou, and Terry Gross, is beyond wonderful. When you've gotten to be the age I am, there are so many people who've made a difference in your life, people who've helped me become the person I am today, that if I named all of them, I'd far exceed my time limit. So here are just a few. My husband, Joe, who's made my reading life possible. Miss Frances Whitehead, the children's librarian at the Parkman branch of the Detroit Public Library, who took this miserably unhappy 8-year-old girl that I was and gave me the world through the books she recommended, including J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit, Lois Lensky's Strawberry Girl, and Esther Forbes' Johnny Tremaine. Miss Whitehead showed me that books are places where you can both find yourself and lose yourself. I knew when I was 10 that I wanted to be a librarian, just like Miss Whitehead, so I could give to other children what she gave me. Miss Glenn, the Halley Elementary School librarian, who made sure I read Helen Gannett's My Father's Dragon and Eleanor Cameron's The Wonderful Flight to the Mushroom Planet. Ken and Peggy Tracy, who hired me to work at their Yorktown Alley bookstore in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Craig Buteau, who brought me to the Seattle Public Library from Tulsa by creating a job for me that required me to do what I loved and did best, talking about books and the pleasures of reading, and not having to do anything I wasn't good at, which was basically everything else. Craig gave me the time, space, and encouragement to create the If All Seattle Read the Same Book program, which has grown throughout the world into all of those one city, one book projects. Gary Luke, then an editor at Sasquatch Books here in Seattle, who called me one day and asked me to write a book about good books to read, and named it Book Lust. Mark Pallo, who used me as the model for the librarian action figure, thus immortalizing me in what I'm pretty sure is non-biodegradable plastic. Sunshine Eisen, a cultural affairs officer at the US Embassy in Sarajevo, who came up with the idea of having all the teenagers in the country, whether they be Muslim, Croat, or Serb, read and discuss Sherman Alexi's Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. And she asked me to come to Bosnia-Herzegovina to work with librarians and teachers who would be discussing this book with those teens. My experience there solidified my belief that reading and then discussing a book can be a small but important step in helping heal a fractured nation or a community in conflict. And lastly, I want to thank all the writers, editors, and publishers whose books have given me so much joy through the years. I am, I believe, the first librarian to win this award, and I'm dedicating it to all of the librarians who do such essential work for their communities. One of the foundational principles of the public library is that it is a truly egalitarian institution available free to everyone, regardless of ethnicity, race, religion, age, or economic status. And as such, it is a democratizing and unifying force in our society, which is needed now more than ever before. Thank you again to the National Book Foundation for this great honor.
Congratulations. And now back to our host, Phoebe Robinson.
Nancy has her own action figure. Nance, get that money. No, but that's amazing. I love libraries. I go to them all the time. So thank you so much for your incredible work. Nance, I bow down. Okay, the second Lifetime Achievement Award we will be presenting tonight is the Medal for Distinguished Contribution to American Letters. Previous winners of this award include Toni Morrison, Stephen King, Walter Mosley, and Gwendolyn Brooks. This honor is given to a writer who has, over the course of their career, greatly enriched our literary heritage through their body of work. Tonight's honoree and her books have had an extraordinary impact, and here to present the medal is Viet Thanh Nguyen. Viet Thanh Nguyen's novel, The Sympathizer, won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction and numerous other awards. He is also the author of two other works of fiction, The Committed and The Refugees. His book, Nothing Ever Dies, Vietnam and the Memory of War, was a finalist for the National Book Award for Nonfiction. He is a university professor in the Errol Arnold Chair of English at the University of Southern California and a recipient of fellowships from the Guggenheim and MacArthur Foundations. Oh my God, wow. With great pleasure, I'd like to welcome Viet Thanh Nguyen.
Karen Tay Yamashita is one of the most inventive and unpredictable writers whose work I've had the pleasure of reading. And it's a real honor to have this opportunity to say a few words about an international writer, an American writer, and not least of all, an Asian American and Japanese American writer. I mention all these adjectives because her books span all of them and travel across many borders while always putting at their center the stories of diverse peoples in the Americas, including those of Asian descent. Karen's oeuvre has been enormously meaningful to me, someone who was saved by discovering Asian American literature in the same year Karen began publishing. This was 1990. I was a college student wondering if a Vietnamese refugee like me could be a writer in English, whether someone like me could be a part of America. Along comes Karen with her first novel, Through the Arc of the Rainforest, which promptly blows my mind. We are a part of America, yes, the novel says. But by America, Karen meant more than just the United States. Through the Arc of the Rainforest brings together magical realism and the telenovela in a story about environmental destruction, a Japanese migrant to Brazil, and a wide cast of characters whose stories allow Karen to begin exploring themes she would pursue for the next 30 years. The movements of migrants, the depredations of capitalism, the fraught difficulties of race relations, and the challenges of writing about history and memory from South to North America, from Japan to the United States. Her next novel, Brazil Maru, about Japanese emigration to Brazil, was prescient in foregrounding the Japanese in Latin America when much more attention was being paid to Japanese Americans in the United States. Karen's work implies that this kind of US focus blinds us, in the United States, not only to much of the rest of the world, but also to how we are impacted by global forces of war, migration, and capitalism that we help instigate. Her third and landmark novel, Tropic of Orange, on which countless dissertation chapters have been written, imagines Los Angeles as a site of an apocalyptic, but still funny, moment of convergence caused by a gigantic orange moving from Mexico to California and bringing with it the Tropic of Cancer. You got to read it to see how many threads Karen weaves together. She is ambitious, and it's one of the things I most love and admire about her as a writer. She can move easily from a grand project like Tropic of Orange to Circle K Cycles, a book of short pieces about Japanese Brazilians who go to Japan for low-wage work, or Sansei and Sensibility, another book of short pieces inspired by Jane Austen, featuring Japanese Americans. Her work, as serious as it is about the damage we do to each other and to the world, is also streaked with humor and satire, as well as ultimately a deep humanity and compassion. This is one reason why I found her Letters to Memory so moving, a work inspired by the collective Yamashita family archive, which spans the 20th century and all of the human drama found in an extensive family, including the internment of Japanese Americans. Internment was not only a Japanese American event, it was an American event, an American tragedy. And Karen's work won't allow us to forget that history. That's one reason why her masterpiece, The I Hotel, is for me the great Asian American novel, with Asian in parentheses. It is the great American novel with Asians and Asian Americans and their histories, literatures, battles, politics, and jokes at the heart of it. What's also at the heart of The I Hotel is radical hope, a conviction found in all of Karen's work that we can and must fight for a more just future, and that literature, the imagination, and the writer all have important roles to play. She has played her role with an unwavering commitment to her artistic vision, giving us an indisputably distinguished contribution to American letters. Karen, congratulations on this richly deserved medal.
To the Board of Directors of the National Book Foundation, Chair David Steinberger, Executive Director Ruth Dickey, and Associate Director Anna Dobbin. Thank you for this gracious and profound honor. And thank you, Viet Nguyen, for your gracious introduction. I have perused the names of former honorees, including the illustrious Maxine Hong Kingston, and I'm stunned to be here. Yet I know I'm here because of a small but mighty independent press, Coffee House Press, and its visionary publisher, Alan Kornblum, read my work and took a chance on my writing. Alan and the Coffee House staff schooled me in the world of publishing, that mix of business acumen, intellectual and social influence, the art of bookmaking, and the love of language and story. After launching my first novel, Alan asked, "Well, Karen, what do you got next?" "Oh," I answered, "very different, you won't want it," to which he said, "Let us be the judge of that." Since then, I've published all my books with Coffee House. Over the years, they've kept my books in print. Thus, readers continue to have access to my books. I'm here because Coffee House has envisioned the long distance of a writer's journey knowing that books take time to be read and to be shared. Coffee House has understood that a small margin of profit over time might give authors like me a chance to grow and to find a readership. I have grown up as a writer within an Asian American literary community. But where is Asian America? It is, I believe, an imagined space that recognizes the immigration and participation of Asian and Pacific Islander peoples in American society and political life. Initially, this literature asserted its grounding within American continental history, but it has always been referential to the crossing of oceans. This navigation has not necessarily been Pacific, but the result of colonialism, racism, and war. Asian American literature is at heart a literature of politics and resistance. For our community, your recognition tonight is significant, especially this year, post-pandemic, having weathered the Twitter of absurdity, corruption, and mendacity, the brutality of racial profiling, and the provocation of anti-immigrant, anti-refugee, anti-Muslim, anti-Asian hatred. In such times, may our writing forge tolerance and care. I am also here because of the generosity and support of a broader shared community, carrying mentors and teachers across the world, and most significantly, colleagues, students, and staff at the University of California at Santa Cruz, who've provided me with a home to research and to write. And I'm here because my friends and family, close and extended, especially my stalwart sister, Jane Tomey, and my creative husband and partner, Ronaldo, have given me love and faith because you've believed. Many years ago, my aunts, Chizu and Kei, took me to visit the author Yoshiko Uchida. Years later, I would discover in Aunt Kei's cache of letters her wartime correspondence with her dear friend Kei Uchida, Yoshiko's sister. I took for granted the connection of the Yamashita family to the Uchidas, connections through the church and UC Berkeley, and to their wartime incarceration at Topaz in Utah. I know that Chiz and Kei planned this meeting with Yoshiko Uchida because they were proud aunties who thought I was a writer. This memory is both comical and sweet to me. And meanwhile, Yoshiko Uchida, who met an earnest Sansei kid in college, had no idea. In those years, Uchida was the most successfully published Japanese American writer of her generation. I may name other Nisei writers: Toshio Mori, John Okada, Jean Wakatsugi Houston, Mitsue Yamada, Hisai Yamamoto, Wakako Yamauchi. Of these writers, only Uchida was able to live by her craft. Not that she was swimming in royalties. She lived alone and very modestly. In 1949, Uchida published her first book, The Dancing Tea Kettle and Other Japanese Folk Tales. I assume this book, read to me as a child, to have been the first book of Japanese folk tales written in English. Of these tales, one story that continues to resonate for me is Urashima Taro. In the story, Taro saves a giant turtle from bullying children, returning it to the sea. One day while Taro is fishing, the turtle reappears and in thanks invites Taro to visit the princess of the sea. Taro climbs onto the turtle's back and travels to the bottom of the ocean. He lives there in luxury, but at last he misses home. As he leaves, the princess offers him a small jewel box, warning that if he wishes to return, he must never open that box. Well, perhaps you know this story. The turtle may be a magical but inscrutable being upon whose back we climb to find our destiny. Perhaps what lies ahead is an adventure or an escape or the moment of our death. The turtle is a great vehicle, a silent spaceship. The responsibility of our journey is only our own. Or the turtle with its shell as home has a different lesson, how we must travel within our bodies, even if marked by ethnicity, gender, color. Immigrants, refugees, exiles, by the fortunes of life, have set forth on the backs of immortal turtles to distant places, sometimes alternate, displaced, bombed out realities, to discover that return is impossible. There is also the predicament of our mobility as globalized transnationals, often celebrated, but for many migrant laborers, a state in limbo and of great precarity. I have also pondered the meaning of the jewel box, its secret hidden within, the dream, the soul, the joyful, horrific, messy contradictions of life, the story of a journey, indeed, the book. Writers have remembered or imagined these journeys, sometimes revealed intensely, extravagantly, comically, or insanely violent. But the imagination is the only sane site where we can play, make satire and farce, do bloody combat, express grief and anger, find solace, reconciliation. Urashima Taro, his heart filled with confusion, curiosity, wonder, seeking answers, will open his gifted box and reap the consequences. We discover that writing what we think, churning ideas on the page, can reconstruct ways of thinking. Ideas are dangerous and transformative. Writing them is creative work for which we are responsible, accountable. Writing requires our constant care and integrity. I thank all of you who have gifted me with this amazing journey. I have been truly blessed.
Congratulations. And now back to our host, Phoebe Robinson.
Wow, that speech was powerful. I almost teared up. Her hair was looking fire. And I agree, writing, you have to include integrity. Okay, it's dangerous out there, and we need to move in a good, positive way. Okay, and now I'd like to introduce the National Book Foundation's board chair, David Steinberger. Come on over.
Good evening, and thank you, Phoebe. We're so thrilled to have you here with us tonight as our host. This is our second exclusively virtual National Book Awards, and we're joined by readers and book lovers from around the world as we celebrate the best in literature. We're thrilled to recognize the importance of powerful writing, talented authors, and of course the many readers whose lives are touched by books. To all of those joining us tonight, welcome to the 72nd Annual National Book Awards. I need to start by thanking the team at the National Book Foundation. Your perseverance and dedication over the past year has been nothing short of extraordinary. Thank you. The Board of Directors of the National Book Foundation are some of the most committed and enthusiastic people I have ever had the opportunity to work with. Thank you all. I'm honored to serve this storied institution alongside each of you. Tonight we're coming to you from the offices of Penguin Random House, surrounded by books, as we should be, generously made available to us by our board member, Marcus Dole. Thank you, Marcus, and thank you, Penguin Random House, for hosting us here tonight. I'd like to thank all those who have made not just this night, but the year-round work of the National Book Foundation possible. Now, we have a lot of people to thank, and it is my privilege to be doing the thanking. Thank you to our National Book Award sponsors, Penguin Random House, Central National Gottsman, Amazon, Apple, Barnes & Noble, Google, Hachette, HarperCollins, the New York City Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment, and Simon & Schuster. Thank you to our National Book Award signature virtual table host, Macmillan, and our virtual table host, Baker and Taylor, Books A Million, CAA, Cushman and Wakefield, my fellow board members, Elpidio Villarreal and also Lucia Ferreira. Thank you both. Ingram, The New York Times, Scholastic, Wiley, and W.W. Norton and Company. Thank you to our Indian nonprofit table hosts, Anonymous, Bloomsbury, Bookshop, Candlewick, Charles and Barbara Wright, Grey Wolf, Grove Atlantic, Independent Publishers Group, Janklow and Nesbitt, Princeton University Press, ReaderLink, Yale University Press, and Zibby Books. And thank you to all our individual supporters. Your generosity makes the work the foundation does day in and day out possible. The National Book Awards is not just an award show. It is also the single largest source of funding for the work of the National Book Foundation. Now, the Foundation's mission, and it is a great mission, is to celebrate the best literature in America, expand its audience, and ensure that books have a prominent place in American culture. The Foundation's work ensures children and families in public housing communities across the country have access to free, high-quality books, more than 1.6 million books to date. The Foundation's work gives adult caregivers opportunities to cultivate their love of reading and model it for the children in their lives, and offers readers of all ages access to thought-provoking literature and the renowned authors and thinkers of today. To continue this work, we need your help. As of now, we've raised more than $550,000 towards our goal of $650,000. If you're watching tonight, if you believe like we do that books matter, that they can change minds and change lives, we hope that you'll make a generous donation in support of our work at nationalbook.org/awards. We truly cannot do it without your support. And now I could not be more excited to introduce you to the new champion of this work. As many of you know, our former executive director, Lisa Lucas, is now publisher of Pantheon and Schocken Books. We again congratulate Lisa, and we're gratified that she remains actively involved with the foundation as a member of our board of directors. Lisa's successor, Ruth Dickey, joined the National Book Foundation in May of this year, and it wasn't easy. She was in Seattle, the foundation's in New York, we're in the middle of a pandemic, but she's doing great. In addition to being a poet and a former National Book Awards judge, Ruth has run nonprofits, arts organizations across the country with an eye not just towards artistic excellence, but also toward making a difference to people of all backgrounds and circumstances, including many who might otherwise be overlooked. She is a builder of and big believer in big dreams, and we could not be happier to have her at the helm of the National Book Foundation. Now, before we hear directly from Ruth, let's take a look at our work and why we do it.
Since 1950, the National Book Awards have celebrated the best books in the United States and helped them reach more readers.
And this year's winner is Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu.
I feel like I left my body. I think just I went completely numb with shock. I definitely spoke from the heart, and then also forgot to thank my family who was sitting right next to me and my parents. And that's one thing that I found when I became a 535 many years ago. Oh, someone's reading my work out there. You know, I had no idea. And then all of a sudden there were people in New York who I felt like in some way I was connected to now.
The National Book Foundation has four main pillars that ground our work: awards and honors, education and access, public programs, and then support for the literary field. I am awed by all the ways in which the staff at the National Book Foundation were intrepid and our partners were inspiring and intrepid in continuing to do the important work of connecting readers with books at this time when it mattered more than ever.
One of the things Raising Readers does is it encourages families and the children in their lives to approach reading the same and talk about reading and stories in the same way that they would talk about a movie or a sports program that they saw.
Prisons and detention facilities have huge barriers to access for books. Literature for Justice was a 3-year program designed to have conversations around books that illuminated mass incarceration in our country and that really gave windows into those conversations. Through that, we've continued our partnership with Freedom Reads to bring books to people who are incarcerated in every corner of the country.
What I'm excited about is digging into the list and finding things that we really believe will bring folks some joy and some introspection. I do think that freedom begins with a book. And I think sometimes it's easy to forget that. What we're really doing is expanding the community.
Book-Rich Environments connects children and families living in public housing communities with free, high-quality, and diverse books.
Last year, we were able to give 4,500 books away to our youth, and this year we have 7,000 books. Being able to allow children to choose books, oftentimes books that have pictures of their likeness, and choose any books that they like, as many books as they want, build their own libraries, is really like a gift.
The Literary Arts Emergency Fund was created to address a crisis in our sector and to support literary organizations navigating the pandemic. It's a partnership between the National Book Foundation, the Academy of American Poets, and the community of literary magazines and presses, and is supported by the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. In fall of 2021, we announced that there will be a second round of support, which will distribute $4.3 million in a second round of emergency funding.
Books offer us an opportunity, one page at a time, one word at a time, to think about our shared humanity.
It's our truth. It's where we can get to places that I think we can't get otherwise.
Reading matters because it gives you that independence in your life and control as to what do I want to learn about? How am I going to use what I've learned through that reading experience? It matters.
The books that we love aren't just books that we chose for ourselves, books that other people chose for us.
At a fundamental level, the work of the National Book Foundation is to create a sense of belonging in reading for readers absolutely everywhere, and to help readers have extraordinary experiences with books.
Phew. How do people do it? I don't know how people do this. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, David, for your leadership and for that introduction. I am absolutely thrilled to be here for my first ever National Book Awards as the Executive Director of the National Book Foundation. Welcome to the audiences joining us from New York and Austin and Seattle and my hometown in North Carolina. We have viewers and honorees tonight from all over the world, from Charlottesville, Virginia to Santiago, Chile, from Bozeman, Montana to Beijing, China. I'm so grateful for the technology that allows us to gather and celebrate literature together. If there were ever a time that underscored the extraordinary experiences that books provide, it has been these past 20 months. Through each grief and each joy of this historic time, there have been books. Books that inspire, books that comfort, books that change how we see the world, and books that help us imagine new possibilities. We're so thankful for the efforts of the countless publishing teams, booksellers, librarians, teachers, writers, and advocates who have brought us the books that expand and transform our lives. I'm delighted to gather tonight to celebrate the 25 extraordinary books that are finalists this year. To select these 25 books from over 1,800 submitted books are esteemed panels of judges who you can see here, read and read and read and read. They have continued to meet on Zoom throughout the judging process. They have thought deeply and discussed thoroughly and read some more. We're grateful for their tremendous devotion to literature, for their heart and humor, and for all the time they have given to this process. I'm in awe of their dedication. As David mentioned, I had the great fortune of being a judge for the awards in 2019. From even that almost inside vantage point, the awards process looked nearly effortless. I know now that is due to the incredible work of the National Book Foundation staff and interns, Munya Abdullah, Meredith Andrews, Andy Donnelly, Natalie Green, Anya Kuipers, Taylor Michael, Kendall Neal, Ali Romero, Jordan Smith,
Meg Tansey, Obadiah Williams-McBride, and all of this year's team who have helped the awards and all our work come to life. Thank you especially to Anna Dobbin, the Associate Director of the National Book Awards. Anna has fabulously shepherded the awards for 4 years, and in true form, when I had a longer thank you prepared, she cut it for time. Thank you, Anna, for keeping us on track in all the ways and making tonight a reality. I feel tremendously grateful and lucky to get to work with such an incredible community to celebrate reading and books. I could not have wished for a warmer welcome than the one I have received from the National Book Foundation Board of Directors. Your leadership and partnership have been extraordinary. Thank you to our dinner committee, who, even though there was not a dinner, have been so enthusiastic and supportive. Thank you to the National Book Foundation's Book Council for your energy and ideas and support. Thank you to our partners in making this event happen, Adam Squires, Teddy Blanks, and Dan Shields at CHIPS, our video team, Jake Bello, Tara Cutts, and Brian Crimmins, and the really useful media team making this all possible, especially Dan Winkler, Emily Kornblut, and Dave Klasko. Thank you. You are all design and technology whizzes, and we know you also love this event. It shows. Thank you for the magic of getting all the honorees on screen together tonight. I can't wait to hear who the winners are, and I imagine our finalists feel the same way. Let's take a quick sneak peek into the green rooms to say hello to our finalists. For the sake of sleep, our Translated Literature Award was recorded a few hours ago, but they're waving at us from around the world as well. Many of these finalists are just now beginning or beginning again to have in-person events with readers and see the impact of their work on people everywhere. Finalists, please remember those moments. They're just the start. Your impact will continue to be felt beyond these awards tonight every time someone connects with your book in the months and years and decades to come. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you for your books and your words. We're gathered tonight to celebrate the power and importance of books in our lives and in our world. As tonight's finalists demonstrate, books don't just reflect our humanity. Books remind us that humanity is shared. Reading gives us an experience that is simultaneously unmitigated, in-depth, personal, and universal. We need books and the deep thinking and learning and empathy that reading brings. Books can open minds, and that's why books can be challenging and why books are currently being challenged. Yet this is also precisely why books matter and why it feels especially important to celebrate literature, uplift the voices of authors, and champion reading. What a gift tonight is, because books are most meaningful and most life-affirming when shared with friends and family, neighbors and colleagues, at bookstores and libraries, over dinner tables and Zoom squares. Reading provides powerful opportunities for us to connect to different people, new ideas, and even difficult conversations. Tonight, we celebrate the community of readers and our shared commitment to create a culture of belonging in books in every corner of our country. Thank you to all gathered here tonight. We are all part of this work. The very simple idea that books are for everyone. Phoebe, thank you so much, and back to you.
Snaps for Ruth. That speech. You need to write my speeches from now on, okay? All right, let's check in with our audience room. How y'all doing? Are you still awake? You still having fun? Are you inspired? Gonna buy more books? Gonna buy my book? Maybe? No? Okay. Anyway, are you getting excited for the announcement of the National Book Awards? Y'all, thank you so much for being here tonight. The National Book Awards are particularly exciting because until the moment that the title of the winner leaves the judge's mouth, only the 5-person panel judges know the decision. Not the foundation board, not its staff. I don't know either, okay? Everyone is hearing it here at the same time for the first time. The winners in each category will be announced by the chair of the respective category, presented in reverse alphabetical order. These categories are young people's literature, translated literature, poetry, nonfiction, and fiction. So you know we about to go into young people's literature. It is some of the most exciting writing out there. So I'm so excited it's getting to shine tonight. And now, the National Book Award for Young People's Literature.
Books for young readers use the power and wonder of our world to entertain, educate, and inspire. This year's finalists for the National Book Award for Young People's Literature address gender and sexual identity, race and politics, ancestral history, and our own personal mythologies. Across illustration, verse, and prose, these extraordinary books offer young people a connection to community and a reflection of their experiences. They ask us to revel in our imaginations and to build a future worth celebrating. The panel chair for this year's National Book Award for Young People's Literature is Catherine Mercier, the director of Simmons University's Center for the Study of Children's Literature.
Well, here we are. It seems to have taken so very long to get here, and yet it's as though we just started meeting and reading yesterday. I want to thank you all. What a privilege it has been to participate in the 2021 National Book Awards and to foster a nation of readers by elevating excellence in new books published for young people. I want to thank Ruth and Anne for their undying support. I want to thank my inestimable panel, Pablo Cataya, Leslie Connor, Tracy Chi, and Ibi Zeboy. Having been recognized by the National Book Awards themselves, they carry deep understanding about the cultural capital of these awards as they put books in the hands, the hearts, the minds of young readers. Pablo, Leslie, Tracy, and Ibi experienced personally the exuberant audiences and the engaged readers the National Book Award has brought to their books. We read, we talked, and we read, and we read some more, and we read some more, and then we kept talking and reading and talking, and finally we're here with you tonight. Pablo graced us with his wit and passion for distinctive storytelling. Leslie cheered the ambitions of each book and called out details of character and narrative arc. Tracy asked us to look deeply to understand not only what a book did, but also what it could do. Ibi enriched our discussions with a commitment to the transformative power of literature. I learned new ways of interrogating, appraising, appreciating books published for young people. I will never read and I will never teach the same ever again. Thank you all. The finalists for the National Book Award for Young People's Literature: The Legend of Auntie Po, Shin Ying Khor, Kokila, Penguin Random House. Last Night at the Telegraph Club, Melinda Lowe, Dutton Books for Young Readers, Penguin Random House. Too Bright to See, Kyle Lukoff, Dial Books for Young Readers, Penguin Random House. Revolution in Our Time, The Black Panther Party's Promise to the People, Kekla Magoon, Candlewick Press. And Me Moth, Amber McBride, Fuel and Friends, Macmillan Publishers. And the National Book Award for Young People's Literature, 2021, goes to Last Night at the Telegraph Club, Melinda Lowe, Dutton Books for Young Readers, Penguin Random House.
Melinda Lowe, Last Night at the Telegraph Club, Dutton Books for Young Readers, an imprint of Penguin Random House. Last Night at the Telegraph Club glows with desire and hums with sensuality as sapphic romance flashes against fear and intolerance. In lustrous detail, Melinda Lowe materializes Chinese-American Lily and White Kath's love story during the rise of 1950s McCarthyism. Lowe's exquisite prose contrasts Lily's unhurried discovery of her sexuality against Kath's unquestioned belonging at the Telegraph Club. Lowe beckons readers, sentence by restrained sentence, into this incandescent novel of queer possibility.
Oh my God, wow. Wow, it has been an incredible experience to be part of the National Book Awards. And first, I want to say thank you to the judges, Pablo Cartaya, Tracy Chi, Leslie Connor, Catherine Mercier, and Evie Zoboy. I am so honored. Last Night at the Telegraph Club began as a short story. And I want to thank my friend, Sandra Mitchell, for giving me the opportunity to write that story. Thank you to my agent, Michael Barrett, for seeing the novel in that story and inspiring me to see it too. Thank you to my editor, Andrew Carr. Working with you has been transformative, and I am so grateful to have you on my side. Oh my God, thanks to my publisher, Julie Strauss-Gable at Dutton, and everyone at Penguin Young Readers, everyone at my agency, Distel, Goderich, and Barrett. So many people have worked so hard behind the scenes to get this book in front of readers. Thank you. Parts of this novel are in Chinese, and I wouldn't have been able to write them without the help of my parents and my aunt. Mama, Baba, Gugu, Xie Xie. And to my grandmother, Nai Nai, you may not be in this world anymore, but you are here with me in every book. To my wife, Amy, thank you for all the ways that you support me. I love you. And one more thing. When my first novel came out in 2009, it was one of 27 young adult books about LGBTQ characters or issues published that year. This year, hundreds of LGBTQ YA books have been published. The growth has been incredible, but the opposition to our stories has also grown. This year, schools across the country are facing significant right-wing pressure to remove books about people of color, LGBTQ people, and especially transgender people from classrooms and libraries. I urge every one of you watching to educate yourselves about your school boards and vote in your local elections. 2022 is coming, and we need your support to keep our stories on the shelves. Don't let them erase us. Thank you.
Congratulations. And now back to our host, Phoebe Robinson.
Melinda, that speech was fire. Do not let them erase us. Yes, we can all take that into our lives and make things better. Congratulations again on your win. So excited for you. Okay, so next up is the National Book Award for Translated Literature. This award was added in 2018 and was the first award added in over 2 decades. The Translated Literature Award adds a global perspective, oui fromage, honoring books from all over the world that are published here in the United States. And now, the National Book Award for Translated Literature.
Reading literature in translation is an active journey and discovery. Words transport us, no plane or train required, to cultures, art, and perspectives beyond our own. Translated literature brings the world to us. The finalists for the National Book Award for Translated Literature were translated into English from Arabic, Chinese, French, and Spanish. These extraordinary books are triumphs of collaboration that blend personal and political history, contemplate intimacy and alienation, and expand our notion of the possible. The panel chair for this year's National Book Award for Translated Literature is Stephen Snyder, whose translation of Yoko Ogawa's The Memory Police was a National Book Award finalist in 2019. He serves as Vice President for Academic Affairs and Dean of Language Schools at Middlebury College.
Good evening. It has been a great honor and a true pleasure to serve on the committee charged with selecting the 2021 National Book Award for Translated Literature. I first want to recognize my extraordinary collaborators and friends who share this fascinating journey, the other members of our committee, Jesse Chafee, Madhu Kaza, Achille Bejas, and Sergio de la Plava. During our many meetings, I've been amazed by their dedication and by the careful, wise, and insightful readings they offered for each book. I've learned from their tremendous intelligence, their candor, and their generosity of spirit, and I'm deeply grateful to them and enormously proud of the work we've done. We've had the privilege of reading 154 entries representing 27 languages, a thrilling and at times daunting task that convinced us of the tremendous richness of contemporary literature in English translation. Translated literature is finally coming into its own in this country, with more work appearing each year and more attention being paid to the brilliant array of international literary talent and a new generation of gifted translators who work across a wide range of languages and cultural traditions. We are delighted to be able to recognize each of the excellent submissions in this category, the 10 marvelous works on the long list, and the 5 finalists being celebrated here this evening. And those finalists are Winter in Sokcho by Elisa Chouat du Sapin, translated from the French by Anissa Abbas Higgins and published by Open Letter. Peach Blossom Paradise by Gu Fei, translated from the Chinese by Kanan Morse and published by New York Review Books. The Twilight Zone by Nona Fernandez, translated from the Spanish by Natasha Wimmer and published by Grey Wolf Press. When We Cease to Understand the World by Benjamin Labatut, translated from the Spanish by Adrian Nathan West and published by New York Review Books. Planet of Clay by Samar Yazbek, translated from the Arabic by Larry Price and published by World Editions. And this year's National Book Award for Translated Literature goes to Winter in Sokcho by Elisa Chouat du Sapin, translated by Anissa Abbas Higgins and published by Open Letter.
Elisa Chouat du Sapin, Winter in Sokcho, translated from the French by Anissa Abbas Higgins. Open Letter. This spare and visceral novel evokes the atmosphere of abandonment and isolation, as well as the stark beauty of winter in a provincial South Korean seaside resort town near the North Korean border. Narrated by a sharply observant young French-Korean resident, the story explores rifts of identity, personal, cultural, and national, and the fleeting kinship that is possible between solitary strangers. Anissa Abbas Higgins' elegant translation brings out the lyricism of Elisa Chouat du Sapin's tender and mysterious novel.
I don't know. I'm good.
Elisa.
Okay, so enregistré. Thank you so much. It's just incredible for me. Et je continue en français en disant simplement que c'est un livre que j'ai essayé d'écrire comme un pont entre toutes les cultures et les langues qui m'habitent. Alors être traduite, c'était déjà un honneur inespéré. Et recevoir un prix pour la traduction internationale, c'est encore plus incroyable. Et recevoir le National Book Awards pour la traduction de ce livre, c'est encore plus incroyable. Donc juste merci du fond du cœur et merci à ma traductrice et à mes éditeurs sans qui rien ne serait possible.
So Elisa says thank you from the bottom of her heart, and of course she's so surprised. She doesn't really know what to say, but this is a book that has come much from her heart. These are themes that are very, very dear to her, and she says a big thank you to everyone, and I can't thank everyone enough. It's such an honor. I think we're completely overwhelmed by this. Thank you to Elisa. Thank you to the publishers. Thank you to Open Letter Books. Thank you to Daunt Books in London. And I want to also say thank you to our first editor on this book, Zhelka Morozovic at Daunt Books, who worked so hard on this text with us. And just thank you to all of you at the National Book Awards. This is such an honor. And Elisa, it's just fantastic for all of us and for all of the people who will now read your book and will get to know more of your work. This is just a wonderful thing. So thank you so much to everyone.
Congratulations. And now back to our host, Phoebe Robinson.
I love when winners are speechless. It's true, raw emotion. And yes, get out there and get this book if you have not yet. It's fantastic. And now we're going to move on over to poetry. I am a terrible poet. I tried in college, did not succeed. That's why I do comedy. Okay, and now the National Book Award for Poetry.
Poetry asks us to pay close attention to words, to line breaks, to one another. The finalists for the 2021 National Book Award for Poetry mine the complexities of the past, document the impacts and echoes of trauma, and investigate existence and identity. And yet, these books also ask us to empathize, to imagine, and to recognize beauty within the complexity of human life. The panel chair for this year's National Book Award for Poetry is A. Van Jordan, the author of 4 poetry collections. A Lannan Literary Award winner, he is the director of the Helen Zell Writers Program at the University of Michigan.
Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Chairing this year's National Book Award jury for poetry has been not only one of the great honors of my career, but it's also been one of the great joys. It's a real gift when you're called to service, and despite the work involved, it also turns out to be a good time. Beyond the wonderful books we read this year, and I'm including the many books that didn't make it to the list of finalists, I also felt lucky to work with some poets whose work on the page I already admired. I'm happy to report that their brilliance on the page matches their good spirits in the world. The foundation chooses the jurors, not the chair, so I said yes to chairing before knowing with whom I'd be working. But when I saw the names of the jurors for poetry, I was as excited as Tom Cruise on Oprah's couch. I know I couldn't have chosen a finer group of poets if I had chosen them myself. I want to thank Don Mi Choi, who was a quiet storm of wisdom, Natalie Diaz, who brought her deeply insightful voice to every meeting, Mattia Harvey, who always led the way both with her picks and with her openness and her intuitiveness, and Ilya Kaminsky, who always caught anything we missed along the way, not only with his attention to detail, but also with his big, generous heart. For all of their hard work and their generosity, and for their deep emotional maturity throughout this process, I want to thank them. We are so proud to present to you our finalists for this year's National Book Award in Poetry. And they are What Noise Against the Cane, Desiree C. Bailey, Yale University Press. Floaters, Poems, Martina Espada, W.W. Norton and Company. Show, Douglas Kearney, Wave Books. 1,000 Times You Lose Your Treasure While When, also Wave Books. The Sunflower Cast a Spell to Save Us from the Void, Jackie Wang, Nightboat Books. And this year's National Book Award for Poetry goes to Floaters, Poems by Martina Espada.
Martina Espada, Floaters, W.W. Norton and Company. Martina Espada's Floaters manages to address the concerns of our times through a timeless voice that can be heard above this cacophonous world. These poems remind us of the power of observation, of seeing everything. What's in front of us, what's behind us, both in memory and in heritage, and what we can only imagine. Believing all are worthy of song, all are worthy of taking seriously within our song. This is a collection that is vital for our times and will be vital for those in the future, trying to make sense of today.
Thank you very much. I am speechless to a large extent because I did not prepare a speech, but also because I am very honored by my selection as the recipient of the National Book Award for Poetry in 2021. there isn't enough time for me to thank everyone who deserves to be thanked. I will miss some names, and I beg your apology. I want to begin by thanking my wife, Lauren Marie Schmidt, to whom the book is dedicated, and who is present on every single page of Floaters. Her love and support mean absolutely the world to me. I want to thank my editor, Jill Bielowski, and my publisher, W.W. Norton. I want to thank my agent, Rob McQuilkin. I want to thank someone who is not here, my father, Francisco Luis Espada, Frank Espada, who provided both an artistic and an ethical example to me throughout my life, and again, throughout every page of Floaters. I want to acknowledge the work of the other poets who were finalists this year. I know what it's like to be where I am, and I know what it's like to be where you are. And I hope that we can form friendships, relationships independently of the National Book Awards. And finally, I'd like to thank the judges. That's all I have to say. I'm sure I'll think of many more intelligent things to say once I leave your screen. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Congratulations. And now back to our host, Phoebe Robinson.
Martine, I love a man who keeps it short and sweet. That was so lovely. And shout out to your wife. It's so beautiful. Congratulations again. Okay, y'all, there are only 2 awards left, so we're getting pretty close to the end of the night. Before it's over, please consider supporting books and reading across the United States by donating to this year's National Book Awards. I'm gonna follow up, so y'all better donate. Okay, next up is the National Book Award for Nonfiction. Woo!
Across different themes, structures, and topics, nonfiction investigates, discovers, and transforms. The National Book Award finalists for nonfiction all ask timely questions, seek difficult truths, and expand our understanding. Through memoir, essays, and history, these books explore the meaning of justice, layer personal experiences with socio-political critiques, and celebrate Black American culture. They transform our understanding of environmental change and examine ecology, history, and survival. The panel chair for this year's National Book Award for Nonfiction is Nell Painter, the author of 8 books, including The History of White People and Old in Art School, a memoir of starting over.
Hello, good evening, book people. I'm so pleased to be able to speak to you. This year's nonfiction jury consisted of 5 dedicated readers and writers: Eula Bliss, Aaron Curtis, Kate Tuttle, Gerald Walker, and myself as chair. We were a mix of skills, of passions, and of tasks. We worked together collaboratively. We had 679 books. This is the largest category. It includes history, memoir, a whole range of different kinds of writing of nonfiction. But I want to assure everybody who wrote, that is, everybody who wrote a book that we were able to look at, that each book got a review by 5 pairs of eyes. We didn't split this up. Everybody read, reviewed everything. On the way to forging our list of 10 long list of 5 finalists, and today our winner. From beginning to end, we worked collaboratively and we forged consensus every step of the way. We talked and talked and talked over nearly 3 months of weekly meetings. And I thank my colleagues for their thoughtful dedication, the generosity of their critical spirit from beginning to end. Speaking for myself, and I think also for my colleagues, I'd like to say how these hundreds of books really succored me in this fraught time in our history. You already know the books that we chose for our long list and for our finalist, and you'll soon know who the winner is. But many, many more writers are grappling with the challenges, with the terrors of our times. Hundreds of authors are facing this time and seeking ethical answers, leaving me, and I think the rest of the jury, at the end of our deliberation, feeling hopeful in the hands of our fellow citizens, especially our fellow citizens who are nonfiction authors. The finalists were A Little Devil in America, Notes in Praise of Black Performance by Hanif Abdurraqib, Penguin Random House, Running Out, In Search of Water on the High Plains by Lucas Basir, Princeton University Press, Taste Like War, a memoir by Grace M. Cho, Feminist Press of the City University of New York, Covered with Night, a story of murder and indigenous justice in early America by Nicole Eustace, Liverite of W.W. Norton and Company, All That She Carried, The Journey of Ashley Sack, A Black Family Keepsake by Tia Miles, Random House, Penguin Random House. And the winner is Tia Miles for All That She Carried, The Journey of Ashley Sack, A Black Family Keepsake, Random House, Penguin Random House.
Tia Miles, All That She Carried, The Journey of Ashley's Sack, A Black Family Keepsake. Random House, an imprint of Penguin Random House. A brilliant original work, All That She Carried presents a Black woman's counter-compilation of lives that ordinary archives suppress. Tia Miles' graceful prose gives us narrative history, social history, and object history of women's craft through the things Rose gave the daughter she was losing forever. With depth and breadth, Miles offers the visual record of love in the face of the child trafficking atrocities of slavery. This book is scholarship at its best and most heartrending.
I'm beyond moved by this honor, and I'm only holding it together because back here in the green room, I can see Jason Mott. And his countenance is just so reassuring to me. Oh my God, I can't believe this honor. It's such a great honor. I'm deeply, deeply grateful for it. And I'm also grateful for my fellow finalists in every category, and especially in nonfiction. And so proud to be standing beside you as we try to interpret and translate the pressing issues of our times. I am grateful to my family who make all of this possible and who actually attempt to read my books, even if they only get partway through. This time around, even my uncles read my book. And Uncle Tyrone, when you all do your road trip down to grandmother's home place in Mississippi, like you said you would do, you need to get boosted first, right? Please get boosted. I would like to thank the National Book Foundation's board and staff and all the judges. And to Professor Nell Irvin Painter, I would like to tell you that I, like so many people, many of us, read you in graduate school. And I admired you so much for your path-breaking work in African American history. I can't tell you what it means to me that you were the chair of this jury. I'm very grateful to my agent, Deirdre Mullane, who worked with me and supported me for almost a decade, and who shepherded this book into the hands of Random House, where it has been taken care of with such sensitivity. And I am deeply thankful to my agent, Tanya McKinnon, who is a warrior for Black words. Tanya, you came in, you scooped me up, you took care of me. You are brilliant in your own right, and you helped me to find the heart of this book just in the nick of time. I also want to thank Molly Turpin. Molly, I remember your face when we were having coffee meeting for the first time. You asked about my projects, and I said that I wanted to write a book about an old bag, because your face lit up. You were so curious. You were so receptive. You were the perfect editor for this project. And you and I both know that this is a co-written book. I remember the first set of comments I got back from you, Molly, the many pages, the book on their own of typed comments and feedback, and the hundreds of little pencil marks and line edits in the manuscript. And I remember going through this process, not just once, not just twice, and on the third time feeling, Molly is going to be the death of me. I want to say that, Molly, you were not the death of me. You were the life of this book, and I'm so grateful. In my last seconds, I need to hold up Rose, Ashley, and Ruth, women at the center of this book, and I want them to know and to see how much they are loved and honored today. Thank you so very much.
Congratulations. And now back to our host, Phoebe Robinson.
Oh, Miss Miles being honest about the editing process. I know editors are very important, so shout out to all of them for helping all our winners write the best book they could have ever written. And now, the National Book Award for Fiction.
Stories allow us to see humanity word by word and sentence by sentence. The stories within this year's National Book Award finalist for fiction include an author's disorienting book tour, one woman's life on the plains of Indiana, and the love between two enslaved men on a plantation in the Deep South. From an abbey in 12th century France to an interstellar ship in the 22nd century, these books show us that we are more alike than we are different. The panel chair for this year's National Book Award for Fiction is Luis Alberto Urrea, the author of 18 books, including The House of Broken Angels. He is a distinguished professor of creative writing at the University of Illinois, Chicago.
Buenas tardes, mundo. I can't believe I got this opportunity to chair this committee. I want to thank everybody at the foundation for this opportunity. I want to thank Ruth and Anna, especially, for helping us create the world's coolest book club. Did we really read hundreds of books? Yeah, we did. And, you know, they were amazing. So many of those hundreds of authors rose to this troublesome and troubling era. It was very difficult, but quite an honor and quite a blessing to do it. Everybody on the team brought their A game, and a little shout out to the committee, which was Alan Michael Parker, Emily Pullen, Margaret Wilkerson Sexton, and Charles Yu, the all-time champion. So the nominees Our Cloud Cuckoo Land, Anthony Doerr, Scribner, Simon & Schuster. Matrix by Lauren Groff from Riverhead Books, Penguin Random House. Zori by Laird Hunt, Bloomsbury Publishing. The Prophets, Robert Jones Jr., G.P. Putnam's Sons, Penguin Random House. And Hell of a Book by Jason Mott, Dutton, Penguin Random House. And this year's National Book Award for Fiction goes to Hell of a Book, Jason Mott.
Jason Mott. Hell of a Book. Dutton Books, an imprint of Penguin Random House. With audacity and invention, Jason Mott's Hell of a Book weaves together three narrative strands: an unnamed author, a boy named Soot, and a figure known as the Kid, into a masterful novel. In a structurally and conceptually daring examination of art, fame, family, and being Black in America, Mott somehow manages the impossible trick of being playful, insightful, and deeply moving all at the same time. A highly original, inspired work that breaks new ground.
Excuse me, I am a bit overwhelmed right now. I did write this acceptance speech ahead of time, just in case I got really overwhelmed, which is completely happening right now. So I'm just going to read, and please bear with me if I stumble through this. I would like to begin by apologizing to all of those whom, due to time constraints, I will not be able to thank tonight. Just trust that I will be thanking you personally in the days and the weeks to come. Tonight, I would like to thank my agent, Michelle Brower, who exactly 10 years ago this month picked me out of the slush pile, and who since that day has been constant and awe-inspiring in her love, support, and friendship. I would like to thank my editor, John Parsley, and the entire team over at Dutton who believed in this novel and helped bring it into being. Again, there are too many people to name, but I thank you all. I want to thank my friends and family, who are the people who truly made not only tonight possible, but who make all the other days and nights possible. To my parents who did not live to see this day, but who are watching right now, to everyone, we've made it. Lastly, I would like to dedicate this award to all the other mad kids, to all the outsiders, the weirdos, the bullied, the ones so strange that they had no choice but to be misunderstood by the world and by those around them, the ones who, in spite of this, refuse to outgrow their imagination, refuse to abandon their dreams, and refuse to deny, diminish their identity or their truth or their loves, unlike so many others. Thank you very, very much.
Congratulations. And now back to our host, Phoebe Robinson.
Congratulations, Jason. That speech was beautiful. I'm so happy for you. You're an amazing, talented writer. Okay, you guys, an enormous congratulations to all the winners of tonight's National Book Awards. Thank you to Dion Graham, who is our announcer tonight, and whose voice you might know from so many different wonderful audiobooks. Thank you so much to all tonight's finalists, winners, judges, attendees, and viewers. The National Book Awards wouldn't be possible without the wonderful support of readers everywhere. Good night, I'm taking my Spanx off.
Thank you for joining us for the 72nd National Book Awards, and good night.